all, and welcome to our next episode of Tech Talks podcast. I am your host, Sanskriti Kadam, and
I am Krishi Shah. Today we have with us Jay Jain, who is an experienced data engineer working in the field of data for the last 6 years. He is also an alumnus of DJ Sangvi of 2018 batch. He is also an active part of AWS Community Group of Mumbai and India from the last 4 years. Welcome, Jay.
Hey, hi everyone. Jay this side as Krishi has introduced myself. I am 2018 batch. Still, Kushali ma'am, Lynette ma'am knows me, so you can just go and ask them. And I am been working as a data engineer from last 6 years in various company across the globe with different clients, different domains. Currently working as a senior data engineer with Exponentia AI. And from last 4 years, I am part of AWS Community Builder as well. So yeah, that's about me.
yeah, that's like amazing, I must say. So, could you walk us through your journey in data engineering and how you developed your passion for this field?
Yeah, okay. So first thing, I was never into coding and they like never wanted to get into a coding kind of a role, like software developer or application developer, website and all those things. I always wanted something where we can connect with, I mean, where we can talk, where we can connect with clients and have mixture of both coding and like a business analyst kind of a role or
Hmm.
like how MBA works. So data, once I get into data engineering and in Quantify, so it was like initially there were trainings for 2 months. Post that we got into a project and there it was more or like need to work on the skills which you have learned in college. So for example, the SQL part or the data warehousing or like creating a Python script. And there I liked AWS much. So it was like for us it was a new thing because we never had any cloud or anything in the college. Yeah, it was there, but just for the Viva purpose, and you know how Viva actually works in college. So, post that, learned AWS, and then I started liking AWS much. Then into GCP, Snowflake, sometimes Azure as well. So once I started on this, one of my mentor, he said that if you don't move into this right now, you won't be able to get into industry and to basically to sustain in an industry you need to move forward, you need to move fast because there are lots of
Hmm.
people after you and there are lots of people before you as well and with you as well. So if you want to stand out from the crowd, you need to learn, implement and showcase your skills. So that is how I got into the, like, I started liking data engineering because it's like it's your job, and if you don't like it you won't get good amount in your bank account. So ultimately we all are working for that number in our bank, right? Be it MS, be it MBA, be it UPSC, be it in any field. Okay. So to get that on the that one message from bank, we are working. And yeah, so that is like that is one of my motivation. And obviously like data engineering is something which I started liking it by knowing more about it. Basically, what is the kind of data that we are dealing with, how it is growing, and all those scenarios. So that is how I got into data engineering. I started creating it, I would not say a passion, but something like this is like kind of my role which I need to deep dive into and explore more so that like no one stabs me and move ahead. So basically that should be the end to end goal for someone, like be it you are doing MS or anything like that. No one will work for free, so money is one of the motivation. That should be motivation for everyone. And obviously learning, so both things should go hand in hand, because in no field is something like that that you will end up learning, be it like even in 4 years of engineering, whatever you have learned you might learn that again in your career, not now, maybe 2 years down the line. So keep learning and keep enjoying it. That is what I would say. Yeah.
Definitely. Learning should always go with earning.
Yeah.
So my next question for you is, what were the some pivotal moments or projects that you had at Exponential AI that helped you shape your career?
So in Exponentia AI specifically, there was one project like which we recently completed. I cannot share the end-to-end details, but I can tell you that it was kind of a real-time project, not a exact real-time where we need to analyze and process data in a second, but it was kind of a real-time where we need to analyze data within like 5 seconds batch. And you cannot process real-time scenario there like streaming kind of a thing, because it comes up with a cost and efficiency, and every other factors comes into picture. So we need to implement or design our system in such a way that real-time scenario is also implemented, and cost and other factors are also are at a par or with respect to client. So this was the one of the project which recently was implemented and delivered. It is still going on, like the first part is in the production and still the other part is going on. So there we created, we had two sources of data. One was coming as a file and one was from the database we need to extract. And there were like 7 different tables. It can be anything based, like if A table is coming first, you need to process A. And if let's say B is dependent on A, and if A is not coming, you need to make sure your script is waiting for A to come and then process A and then process B. So that way we have handled it end to end without using Kafka or Kinesis or any other real-time application. It was completely on Python and more towards like into solution architecture kind of view. I can say that it was like more towards SQS we used for the streaming mechanism to handle streaming. So SQS is nothing but it's a messaging queue, and Python application was getting executed in our Kubernetes cluster, and which was on 24 cross 7. But again, like it won't cost much if you use it properly. So this was one of the good project which I worked on Exponentia so far. Yeah.
So my next question to you is, you have held multiple certifications from AWS, GCP, and Snowflake. So how have these helped your career, and how important are these certifications in the data engineering field?
Okay, so to answer this, I would ask how important is your degree in your how important is degree with respect to what you have learned, right? So
Yeah.
degree or certifications, all these are just a paper if you don't know the application of it. So it's same way like how in engineering we have learned like for us it was we learned around 48 subjects. We learned like what this data structures we have learned. There was some subject known as COA. I don't even remember the full form of it. So those things you have learned it, but you have not applied it. You only apply the minimal part of it. Similarly, and if you don't have a certificate, sorry, a degree, you won't be eligible for anything. It's not just it's a piece of a paper, but it demands that you know things, right? I mean, you are a bachelor or BTech or BE in XYZ technology. Similarly, certifications are something like you know this skills of be it AWS, GCP or Snowflake or Azure or any other certification. You know these skills and you have applied it. So this certification generally help to know new things in your career. Basically, in your when you are implementing something hands-on in your current company or any other company, and during interviews when you are looking for a job. So during interviews, this certification plays a pivotal role if you know or if you have justification of what you have done it. So basically, if I say that you are a computer engineer, okay, and if you don't know how to write a small Python code, then you are not a computer engineer. You have just done with the engineering, right? So similarly, these certifications help you to gain more knowledge and to apply it. So if you apply it properly, you would be able to answer the interview questions better. And also in your like end-to-end data engineering journey, you would be able to basically use more application of it. So basically you learn best practices, you learn some trending technologies that are there with respect to this cloud. So that is how you can use this certification, but use it wisely. Don't just mug up how we do or how you are doing currently in your engineering career. Don't do it that way. Pointers doesn't matter here. Just pass ho gaye, that's fine. You just need to apply things.
That's right. So with so many certifications in AWS, GCP, and Snowflake, how do you decide which cloud platform is best suited for a specific project?
Okay, this is Okay, so to answer this question, there are two parts to it. If you're working on a service side, service industry like Quantify or KPMG, Tiger Analytics, Exponentia, etc. So service industry mostly deal with clients. So to answer this
Mm.
question, if client is working on AWS, so you cannot directly move everything from AWS to GCP if you are a GCP person. So that is not how industry works. Yeah, if for some use cases, if there is a demand, then you might need to. Otherwise, you need to stick to whatever client is using. And in the second part, if you are a product based company, then there are multiple factors associated to decide which cloud we need to do, like cost. Then it comes the skills which your engineers or developers are using, and performance wise. So let's say if you need something, some cloud where community, it should be community driven, like it should have huge user base and documentation should be nice, multiple services, then you would go with AWS. But if you need something which is like trending or might be booming up in the future with ML and everything in one single piece, you might go with Databricks or Snowflake. But again, product based, all these factors comes with the help of cost. You need to consider cost, efficiency, skills. Cost is the major factor because I mean whatever you would use, you need to pay for it. Nothing is free. So cost is one of the biggest factor to decide which cloud we need to move on. For learning, the more you learn, the more it is better. So it's like whatever you can learn, try to learn in for initial 4 5 years, because after that your life will change. You will move to some other phase of your life. So learning decreases at that point of time.
Exactly. And now, I have another question for you. Like, what are the key challenges that companies face when migrating to the cloud, and how can data engineers help migrate them?
Okay. So initial thing which company faces is the adaption. So
Mm.
basically, like everything is on-prem, and if it is in on-prem, you are your own god basically. So you have
Yeah.
things under your own control. Moving to cloud, sometimes okay, even in cloud you can manage those things, but adaptation is the key. Like, are you able to
Mm.
adapt to the cloud environment? That is one of the biggest challenge companies usually faces. And sometimes things are written like mostly on the SQL Server kind of a thing. So ideally migrations are usually stored procedures in SQL Server migrated towards cloud using either Python, Spark, or even stored procedure on the cloud itself. So that at in this migration, data engineers comes into play, because your data should be exactly same which is there in your source or in your current architecture, and it should be same in your cloud as well. And the cost or the efficiency to extract the query information or the answer to running a particular query, if it is on on-prem taking 5 seconds, here also it should take ideally less than 5 seconds or maximum 5 seconds. If it is taking more, then your migration is not proper. And the biggest challenge as a data engineer generally faces migration of a first time load, basically initial load, because the data is huge and you might need to spin up the cluster which run 24/7, and there should be alerts available continue at continuous facing. Basically, let's say for 6 hours there should be certain alert, after 6 hours certain alerts, because if something breaks, then you need to stop, or you cannot go and delete everything and put it again, because data is very huge. So that
Mm.
is the
Right.
biggest challenge during migration which everyone faces. And as a data engineer, you will help with creation of the tables. I'm going with the very basic part: creation of tables, schemas,
Mm.
foreign keys, distribution keys, basically RDBMS concept. Then comes the
Right.
ETL part. Basically, if things are written here in some other languages, you need to migrate it using Python or Spark, or
Mm.
some ETL tools if your company is using anything. So all this thing you need to manage end to end. Basically, entire data journey is managed by data engineer. And now with growing data, if you might have heard about certain compliances which are available, like the PII data should not be, sensitive data and all those things. So that is also part of your data engineering life cycle.
So, like you have worked extensively on AWS. So, what is the most favorite, yeah, most exciting AWS ecosystem for a data engineer?
So when I started the career in 2018, AWS were having 107 or 1115 services. Now they have 250 plus services. Maybe after 5 years, they would be having 500 services. So you cannot learn every service, not just AWS, be it any cloud. Okay, you need to stick to your core. So as a data engineer, what we generally do, we play with data. So the storage part. So in AWS, it is S3. RDS for the database or relational database, MySQL, Postgre, Microsoft SQL Server. Data warehouse, it is Redshift. And then where do you execute your scripts, be it Python scripts or Spark scripts, Glue, EMR, Lambda, AWS Batch. So for one thing, there are multiple services created by AWS itself. So you need to again consider cost and other different factors to choose which service you need to go ahead with. And for the orchestration, again, there are three services: Glue workflows, step function, uh, managed Airflow. So Airflow is an open source, but AWS created their own service, which where you can launch Airflow. And then some alerting services as well, like CloudWatch, SNS for email alerts, SQS for queuing mechanism. And if you're using streaming, so you need to know about Kinesis. For visualization, you need to know about QuickSight or Power BI, Tableau. So these are, the services that generally as a data engineer we will work. The services would remain, the name would be changing, but these are the core services as a data engineer. Irrespective of whichever cloud you are using, you would be using this kind of a services itself. One for batch processing, one for streaming processing, one for storage, one for databases, one for NoSQL database, and one for data warehouse, and another last one is visualization. The alerting and the logging are hand in hand. I mean, they are part of each and every ecosystem. So you need, even if you don't learn it, you will learn it eventually after implementing anything. So these are like 8 to 10 service, not service, I would say, different parts basically, where every data engineer might have, get their hands dirty. And you need to make sure that you have hands dirty in all this 8 to 10 different aspect of cloud.
Yeah. So my next question to you is, what's your approach to optimize the data pipelines for both performance and cost efficiency in cloud environments?
Okay, this is a nice question. So these questions are generally asked during interviews. So I was not prepared for this, but yeah. Uh, how do you optimize it with respect to cost? So with respect to, see, first thing, why to answer this question, first thing is to understand why your pipeline is failing, or
Hmm.
why it is getting delayed, or why it is costing more. Simple reason would
Hmm.
be your data has been increased.
Yeah.
This is one of the reasons. Second reason would be there is some data skewness. So skewness basically
Hmm.
means for one particular node there is lot more of data. Third reason would be maybe there is certain change in the downstream of the data. So when you are dumping the data at that time, there has been certain change at your destination. So that is why
Hmm.
your performance is not making that impact. And fourth reason is business logic has been changed. So if business logic has been changed, that is a different scenario. So that depends on what was the requirement and what we have delivered. For the first reason, if data has increased, so you need to optimize your script. That is the
Hmm.
only solution with respect to cost and performance. To optimize your script, you need to make sure you know the best practices of Python and Spark. So some simple best practice which you might have heard of in college is modularization of the code. Like, don't create
Yeah.
5,000, 10,000 line of a code. Create different files, import it, inherit it, use the OOPS concept. So OOPS concept is
Hmm.
very much important. Even today, we utilize it, and there are people, good experienced folks, who are unable to answer this OOPS concept during interviews. So
Yeah.
OOPS concept is one which you can use to optimize your code. Second thing is use the multi-threading concept or multi-processing concept in your Spark, to make sure the code is able to generate multiple tags and able to run things faster. And then there are more concepts like partitioning. You need to make sure the databases are properly indexed, the RDBMS functionality is properly utilized, and the constraints are properly applied, and all those things. So this is, again, this is a very generic question with, I mean, you cannot answer this directly end to end because it depends on multiple factors, but usually these are the factors where you can optimize your code, and you know, if you optimize your code, the cost will automatically reduce it. And another thing is, make sure where you're executing your code, is it with respect to your need. So to execute a normal Python code, you can pay $1 also, you can pay $100 also. So where are you executing things? Based on that, you need to decide, and then your cost will automatically reduce.
So now moving towards the technical stuff like different languages, how important is having a good grasp in Python and SQL in data engineering, and how do they complement each other?
I would say they are backbone of data engineer. So if you don't know Python and SQL, like, you are not a good data engineer. Python and SQL are the uh, like the best, or I would say the go-to tool for any of the use case, be it or any of the domain, pharma domain or edtech domain or marketing domain, anything. You need to know SQL and Python end to end. Like, end to end, it's not possible for everyone, but at least for SQL, you need to know 70 to 80% because that is what we learn during our college days. Python might not be for everyone, you might not be learning Python,
Hmm.
but SQL, we learn it. We learn about normalization, we learn about cardinalities, we learn about DBMS concepts, and we learn about window function, analytical function, and all those functions as well. So we need to know SQL end to end, because, and how they complement each other. So whatever you can do in SQL, you can do in Python, and whatever you can do in Python, you can do in SQL. So this is how they complement each other. Why Python is important? Because if you take any of the trending technologies like Kafka or Airflow, even Spark, so all these three are using Python in some or other way. Kafka and Airflow are directly using Python. So you if you don't know Python, you cannot implement Airflow or Kafka. Similarly, for Spark, PySpark and Scala, these are two languages. But for a newbie, PySpark is very much easier to learn as compared to Scala. So
Hmm.
Python is, I mean, like, if you don't have a backbone, you cannot stand right. Similar, these are two languages, Python and SQL. I usually say, if you know Python and SQL, you are 50% good data engineer, and you can get a role of data engineering if you know Python and SQL. So I don't know how currently the interviews are going on for freshers, but when I used to take interviews as for a fresher when I was in Quantify, so at that time I used to generally ask SQL concept, because Python, yeah, people, right, they know Python, but if asked certain small problem or anything like that, freshers are generally unable to answer it. So make
Hmm.
sure you know Python and SQL, like even if you're doing masters or uh, going into any software technologies or anything else, business analyst or some non-tech roles, product management or anything, Python and SQL is the must today in the entire, not even data engineering, end-to-end software engineering or end-to-end engineering world. If you're going for MBA, then obviously tech is out of syllabus. So
Yeah. Right. Yeah, the knowledge which you have shared about the SQL and everything as of now, it's very means interesting as well. But now I have one more an interesting question for you. Like the big data, the subject which we are also being introduced in our college semesters. So how that learning differs from what industry people actually want.
okay. So I would share my experience. Maybe that will answer the
Mm,
question. So in college, you learn ABCD, like how we learn during schools, right? But during real life, you write words, you write emails, you talk
mm,
with proper sentence. You might also learn grammar, right? But I don't think anyone, grammar in school days, but we don't, when we speak or when we talk to each other, we don't think about, okay, the grammar should be correct or not,
right.
especially in English language. Hindi and Marathi and other regional language. So I mean, it's gone case now because of
Vocal.
Bollywood and XYZ. I don't want to get into that. But yeah, similarly, what you learn in college is ABCD of things. So what we have learned, I think big data was in our fourth year, seventh or eighth semester. And we used to learn about what are three V's of big data. Sorry, five V's of big data,
Yeah,
how it is
yeah.
different, and all those things. We learned theoretical
Hmm.
part. We never implemented anything. But when
Hmm.
it comes to industry, you don't. You theoretically, if you know theories, then only you would be able to implement or apply to it. So in industry, it is different ball game. So basically, okay, you know about cricket, and actually playing cricket is a different thing. So similarly is all this technology. Whatever you have learned in college, big data, like I only remember this five V's, and there were few important questions which we used to mug up and we used to write during exams. But in real world, that is different, because in college you cannot have those real world application. That is not possible for a college to give you 100 GB, 500 GB of data. Not possible. Like the server will hang. And in real world, you are actually playing with that amount of data. So in that point of time, you will get to get the actual feeling why data is very much important. So in one of my use case, we had around 900 columns. So you just imagine how to deal with this 900 columns, how to create tables of this 900 columns, and we used to get data 500 GB on daily basis. And this 900 columns, 500 GB of data, we had written Spark code, and we had to handle this big data wala piece. So big data generally, in simple terms, big data basically means large amount of data in simple terms. And how to handle this large amount of data, it is also part of big data.
Hmm.
So this all revolves, the industry is currently revolving around this data because thanks to Geo free internet, and because of it all around world also, internet has become cheap, data is constantly available, thanks to all social media, thanks to us because we are using this social media so much. So data is generating at very fast pace. So to analyze all this data, to process this data, you need someone to store this data, you need someone to process this data. So for that, there should be a framework available, and this is what is known as Hadoop or big data concept, the framework to handle this large amount of data.
So, like, can you give advice to someone who is looking to clear certifications like AWS Data Engineering, which you had done
Hmm.
recently?
So the basic advice would be, if you have implemented anything, it's well and good. You would be able to know the real life scenario, and then obviously there are like dedicated courses by AWS, by some third party like Stephen Marek. He is the god in AWS certification. And there are multiple sites also available where you can actually go and learn things. But the usual, I mean, the best way would be to just create a free trial account, implement things, and actually how, because in certification there are real time scenarios question which are usually asked. So if you are doing XYZ, what would be your response be? So out of four question, I mean, three questions would be something, all three would be the correct answer. So based on, again, like, revisit the question, consider what are the factors, cost or efficiency, time, etc. Because generally cost and times are inversely proportional to each other. If you want something in less time, you need to pay more. Not always, but generally 70% this is the case. So you need to, if you implement things on real life basis, then you would be able to know what are this different services that are being asked and that are being used in the certification, and then you can easily answer these questions. And if you want the easier route, so how in college days we go and ask for important questions. So there are important questions available on internet. You need to pay for it, mug it, and you can give certification.
I think we can see, on LinkedIn, like there are many certification providers, as we can say like that. Like for example, GCP Architect Core that do give us a hands-on experience because I was an participant last year and it was a facilitator this year. So I was able to see that they had a lot of,
Like,
activities like about hands-on, about AI,
yep.
ML, cloud. They were giving free credits. So
Hmm.
regarding that, like, can you give a overview of a GCP professional data engineer, and whether these type of, roles or these type of programs can be at some help to people right currently right now. Yeah, just for swags ke liye, like.
No, so swags is also one of the good thing. So you can do it for
Hmm.
swags. If you so see, this is what I said. Motivation, like you
Yeah.
would be learning it, but you are learning it for swag, and
Hmm.
someone would be learning it because they need to move ahead in their career. So take any of this, but just keep learning. So yeah, for students or 1 year experience or 2 years maybe, this are something very good programs which you can enroll and go ahead and give the certification. And for someone who is like at my stage, they can also enroll into the certification, because you get a voucher where you get like 100% discount on the certification exam. So like not last year, this May also I enrolled into Google one, and I got free 100% off voucher on GCP Data Professional, and I cleared in July. So these labs are very much helpful. You get hands-on experience, and as you said, free credits are also important, because you don't need to pay for it, and you get free hands-on credit, and you can just play with it. But for AWS also, for students, there are AWS Academy. So not sure if you have the domain as @djsc.co.in or .ac.in in your email ID, but for us it was not available. Maybe for you it might be available. So you can use those email IDs to enroll into this program, and you can learn actually. And also for free tier, you just need a credit card for any of the cloud. 2 rupees would be deducted, again it would be refunded, and you just need an email ID and credit card. You can enroll into free trial. You get $300 to $400 of credit, and you can play with it. Like $300 is a huge amount for us, because we don't have that amount of data into our local, and you cannot generate that amount of data. So $300 is worth spending. A year you can learn end-to-end data engineer, end-to-end AWS or end-to-end cloud engineering itself, not just data, be it DevOps or ML or networking. All four aspects you can go and implement in any of the cloud if you have free tier access.
Definitely. So these activities by Google and AWS have definitely improved the initiatives. So, like, how do you maintain the latest trends and technologies in cloud computing and DevOps? Like, there's something new coming every day almost.
Yep. So again, like you need to learn. Basically, you need to follow some good people on LinkedIn, or individually follow some blogs, or some good articles. You need to learn it, and then you need to implement it, because learning is one thing and actually implementing is a different thing. So for example, iceberg. So iceberg, like last year only it was launched, and we have started using it, we are implementing it. So now I can say that, okay, that I know iceberg, but I cannot say I know iceberg end to end, because I've implemented only a small chunk, basically tip of iceberg. But there it's a very big thing. So similarly in your career, learning should not stop. So I started Python, PySpark, then I even implemented things on Arshiny. I learned Git principles, OOPS, solution architecting, the entire data pipeline, orchestration, and everything. So you need to keep learning, otherwise you won't be, moving ahead in your career. So if you want to move ahead, promotions, again, good paycheck, moving ahead in your career. So you need to make sure you know this latest trending technologies. Okay, you might be not knowing 100% of this, but at least you should know what this is used for. So if I tell you Java versus Python, you should be aware what Java is used for, what Python is used for. It's fine if you have not implemented this thing, but you should be aware of this latest, technologies which are coming, and how, different people are fighting for this, how different companies are fighting for all this. Like if you have heard about Databricks versus Snowflake, so how they both are competing with each other. So it's not compulsory to know you both, but if you know at least one and pros and cons of other, it's good thing.
Just a second. Good. As per the knowledge which you have given about how it can deeply impact us and all the companies. It's really very informative. And I request the audience who are watching this, make sure that those who want to build their career in data engineering, they just have a basic knowledge about cloud computing, and you can go through this video anytime, anywhere. Uh, let's move on to our next question. Yeah. What are the trends which you foresee shaping the future of data engineering and cloud computing for the next few years? And also with AI and machine learning, which is continuing to grow currently right now. So how do you see the data engineering playing a role in these developments? And also, can you speak a brief about DevOps, which you had mentioned right now?
Okay, so there are three questions in your one question.
Yeah.
Uh, So how future of data engineering would be? So data engineering, the trend, the technologies will keep evolving. So that is for sure. So now what iceberg I talked about, you might have heard about CSV files, right? So or JSON files. You might have even seen it. But then when we started, I learned about Parquet files. Now there is iceberg, which is nothing but an open table format on top of Parquet. I'm not going into deep dive what iceberg is. You can just Google and learn about it. But there would be something better than iceberg also, which would be coming up in near future. So similarly, this Databricks and Snowflake, what they are just uh, like whatever the disadvantage of the the leaders of cloud had, like AWS, Google, or Microsoft. They are just building on top of it, like making breaking the disadvantage into advantage and making it useful for the people or for the new companies. And they like Databricks is built by people who were actually started Apache Spark. So who have built Apache Spark, they have started Databricks. And maybe you might know about database and data warehouse. Then there is Lakehouse, and there is Delta Lake, then there is Data Lake. Now there is Delta Lake also available. So all these are building on top of what is existing. So if you know
Yeah.
existing properly, then adding foundation top of it is very easy. So it's basically, if you know like how buildings are created, the foundation is made strong, the pillars are made strong, and then you add on top of it the different floors. Similarly, the this data engineering career is, if your foundation is strong, foundation basically means like DBMS concept, OOPS concept, uh, the coding style. So no need to write, like code, and it's anyone can write it. But writing a good code with respect to style, efficient, clean code, it is a different thing. Variable namings, these are a small thing which we have learned already in college, but we don't, even today we don't apply it. So even
Hmm.
today, when we write an if or for loop in Python, the colon that we miss, and it actually gives error after writing 100 200 lines of a code, it gives that error. So these are small concept. If you know this, if your foundation is strong, you can learn new things. And I would say focus on the foundation in the architectural point of view instead of focusing on the tools, because tools will come and go. Tools are not 100% to be there in industry. If X tool is currently leading, after 2 3 years, someone will either acquire it, or this big giant will either create the same tool in their environment, and that tool will vanish. So tools will come and go. Make sure you are good with the foundation, like why we are using it. And if that tool is not given to you, can you do the same thing with other existing tools or other existing services which are available? Now your second question was how AI and ML, how data engineering will help this. So first thing, machine learning is not about executing a model.
Hmm.
What usually college, okay, I don't want to get there, but I have seen people, they have written in their resume that they have, no machine learning, but they have, when asked questions about it, they say that we have just run a model. What is a model? Model is nothing but a normal Python code. You are just running a Python code. You have not created a model, or you have not implemented a model. And even after running a model on 10,000 rows of data, even still, if you are getting less than 99% accuracy, it means your model is worst. So
Got it.
if it 10,000 number of records, you should get at least minimum 99% accuracy. I mean, 10,000 records are, you don't even get sample data of 10,000 records in real world.
Yeah.
You get around 100K, 50K kind of a data. And
Hmm.
as I said, if you get 100 GB, 200 GB, and if you're running this model there, your accuracy would be, it's not possible in negative, but it would be, if it was possible, it would be, have been in negative. Because in machine learning, your data training is very much important.
Yeah.
And to train data, you need to have a clean, to train your data, you need to have
Hmm.
data first. And to have that data, you need a data engineer.
Exactly.
To make sure your data is clean, you need to have a data engineer. Make sure your data is suitable for that machine learning algorithm, you need a data engineer. You cannot give image to some model where it is required a CSV file. You cannot do it. So you
Hmm.
need a data engineer to, so data scientists or machine learning engineers, they are like end goal for data engineers. So data engineers are their source. And if data engineers are not there, machine learning engineer, data scientist, AI, ML, I don't think so it would ever exist. Because to you won't be able to train your model. How, if you don't train your model, your machine learning is like zero. And coming to AI, so yeah, coding part has been easy,
Hmm.
because when we were in college, we used to write the code in C. Not sure if that subject still exists or not. Computer graphics, we have created this pendulum and clock and everything in C. I don't think so it exists for you guys. So we have done those part using C. We learned data structures using C. So in
Hmm. Right.
library, there was one book known as Rima Thareja. So we had to actually hide
Yes.
that book so that it is not, lost. I mean, or not anyone, get into it. But now with Python, people are learning data structures very easily. But
Hmm.
data structures in Python is not it's not real. It's a
Hmm.
fake. So because in Python there is no concept of address, there is no concept of pointer. Writing a data structure in Python, and if you say I know data structure with the help of Python, it is like you don't know data structure basically. So these are some things which, which we need to make sure our fundamentals are clear. So like I have told this to our teachers also, that don't introduce Python with data structures. You are just creating two variables for linked list. There is no address actually available in linked list in Python, because there is no concept of it. So
Yeah.
similarly with AI, your coding will have been reduced. Your like Googling skills have reduced because you just write chat GPT and code has been provided. But once you grow in your career, you would realize that, the code with chat GPT or this Gemini, or in Facebook we have Llama model, all this, it is not a good code. So I
Hmm.
usually don't prefer this code from chat GPT or Gemini. I prefer code from Stack Overflow or by some blogs or some articles. Yeah, to learn few things. Let's say if you want to learn about Apache Spark, you can ask them, they will give you a brief idea, but don't make sure that, don't use it for your coding. Yeah, for projects and college it's fine, but in your career, majorly don't use this chat GPT in anything. You can integrate this with your application, so that you can summarize few things, like give them, 100 words and just summarize it in a sentence. So that for that it is very useful, that you can do it. But for coding and actually copy pasting that code in production, it is not recommended, because uh, it is not good. Like I have faced it, like I have done it and it is failing with some random error, and you don't get those error in real world. So it's better to write your own code, take your time, write your own code, Google it, read document, and then move ahead. Third question you asked about DevOps, right? So
Yeah.
DevOps is again like, it's the backbone of your software engineering itself. So data engineers, let's say after 20 years, data engineer does not exist, but DevOps will exist because websites are existing. And
Yeah.
DevOps are, again, the definition of DevOps, dev and ops. So developer operations. DevOps
Hmm.
basically means you are helping developer with the operations. What
Operation.
are the operations? Basically, it can be creating of the resources, managing those
Hmm.
resources, maintenance of those resources, permissions, and all those things come under DevOps.
Hmm.
Now, with AI, data, ML growing, there are few roles like data ops and ML ops also coming up. So there are
Yeah.
few companies which are hiring for data ops and ML ops. So it's again data engineer plus ops. So you are maintaining the data pipeline. Sometimes it is part of your
Hmm.
data engineer, sometimes it is part of data ops. So DevOps is basically you're maintaining uh, creating, managing, deploying, all this comes under DevOps.
So DevOps is a very wide field to my knowledge. So data engineering is continuously developing, and each and every day something new is coming. So how do you maintain the data governance? Like how do you ensure that data is secure and compliant with the regulations when working in cloud environments?
Okay, so data governance again, like it started recently with all the companies because data was growing, and there are compliances available. So not sure if you have heard about it, like California Act, GDPR Act. In India, when you visit some website, you have this permission to reject cookies also, right? So
Hmm.
initially, I'm not sure if you have seen it or not, but if you have seen it, there is an option available where you can reject cookies also if you just open any site like Stack Overflow or any of the website. Even in Amazon or Flipkart, they have this option where you can reject the cookies. Initially, it was not available like 2-3 years before COVID. It was not available. Why it is now available? Because we don't need to share our data. That is what the end goal is. Similarly, in your if you have any application like Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, anything like that, you have given permission to year also, right, to those applications.
Yeah.
Maybe just check it now, and they actually
Hmm.
listen to it even if your net is off. They are utilizing your data. So let's say if you just maybe with your friends in college for 4 or 5 hours talk about anything, like maybe talk about need to go to Goa, you will get an ad on Instagram or Facebook or whatever application you are using, Snapchat, Tinder, Bumble, anything. So you will get those ad in the application because they are listening to us. In India currently there is no as such different laws, but in Europe or in US there are laws where you can, if they request, then you can delete their personal data, PII data. So to handle all this, you need to make sure your data governance is properly managed. There are different third party tools which are available. There are different I mean, in AWS there is a one tool known as Data Zone, which is available where you can manage end-to-end data governance. So you need to secure your data with the help of decryption. You can do,
Hmm.
you can restrict the access of those columns and rows by hashing the data, or using some Shah algorithm or MD5 algorithm, and any kind of those algorithms. You can hash the values, maybe 16 digit, 8 digit. You can then restrict the column access across the user. So for example, like Krishi is from marketing team, so he should not have the access of credit card number or PAN card number or anything like that. So those you can restrict it, and with the help of this, you can manage the data governance. Again, this is a broader concept. In one day, you cannot implement all this. You need to have dedicated timelines to make sure which team has what kind of access, what column access, what rows access, and all those things.
So like recently Microsoft का वो data breach हुआ था, and how important is cyber security in preventing data breaches? Like, hacks are also going on a lot these days.
Yeah, so I mean, like it's basically how important is, let's say in someone house there, they have doors, but still
Hmm.
thieves are getting into it, and they are getting like by like stealing the things. Similarly, this is the same thing. I mean, if data, we are saying data is new oil, so people will get into and steal the oil, steal our data. So, and hacking is I mean, like it is on the wrong side of thing. But this application, they are also using our data, so they are also actually stealing the information what we have. So we need
Exactly.
to make sure that our data is been properly secure. So if in
Hmm.
Instagram you should not give permission for camera all the time. If you want to click some photo, then only give permission. Again, like deselect the permission. Similarly, audio video, if you don't want to apply some music, don't give the permission. So it's on our hand to restrict things for our particular use case. And on the company side, the more things are secured, like it should be under your private network. Internet access should be restricted. uh it should be proper, like the role should be properly given. Like, okay, Krishi is like on the junior position, he should not have production access. Sanskriti is the mid-level position, she can have access of some XYZ services, but not all the services. This way you need to manage your things, but still if things are compromised, it is compromised, because Microsoft is a big company, and CrowdStrike, because of the breach in the CrowdStrike is the one who manages everything. CrowdStrike is also a company. There was on the, I mean, if you have read about the article, they pushed something into production, and because of that thing, this breach have happened. So regular testing should have been done. There should be proper audit in your, or in your application, and based on that, you can go ahead and make sure the things are safe. So one of my friends example, is currently in some company, is in USA, passed out from USC. In his internal application, what he did just to try out things, he added the username and password as admin, and guess what? He got into it. He was logged in. So it was a bug on their end, but since it was an internal application, it was secured. But still, this kind of a things should be eliminated when you are creating any resource or deploying anything.
Yeah. Like, absolutely, whatever you have told is like whatever I have seen currently in news, it is there, like about hacking part, about, going into another data and just looking into it and then stealing it, even in websites code, which we can say. They just so yeah, it seems scary, but if you are having a proper permission which is being given, or you are taking some precaution before it, as what you talked about, Instagram camera, the setting part, permissions one, even the notifications currently now, even that is going. So then that would be something which will help us to be secure in this technical world.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because data, uh, I mean, you don't know what information these big companies have about you. So when we were getting data about
mm,
900 columns, we were getting information about what hair oil you are using, to how many times do pedicure, manicure, all those kind of information.
yeah.
Where do you drink? With whom do you drink? What brand do
Mm.
you drink? All, like, just name it and you will have any all the information. So just imagine how, I mean, this is scary, of course, but if you utilize it in a good way, then it is good thing. Because so how, like, if I want to buy something, gift for my wife, okay, so I usually ask Instagram, I say five six times, and I get good ads for it, and then I can utilize it. So if you know how to utilize it, you can use it.
Definitely.
Yeah. So, what's that one piece of advice that you wish to give our audience that you had received earlier in your career?
uh, like, I had good mentors, so in my career, currently also, and so far, touchwood. So make sure you have good mentors alongside. It's fine if it can be 1 year old, 2 year old, 3 year, 5 year, 6 year, 8 years, 10 years, no matter what. Always have a good mentors who can guide you, not just in your career, in general also they can help you to guide. And one piece of advice for anyone who is currently or might move into their career, into jobs, or who are already there maybe 2 3 years, learn to say no.
Hmm.
So this my manager have told me during my appraisal, first year appraisal. She said that you should learn to say no. Like, it is not a bad thing to deny something, because if you won't say no, you would end up working 8, 10, 12, 14, 15 hours. So learn, yeah.
Yes.
If it is demanding, if it is critical issue, then you might need to. But have this one piece of advice, like, always learn to say no. Not always, I mean, yeah, अभी काम दिया नहीं करना है बस. So not like that,
Yes.
but if it demands, then you should learn to say, because it will affect your health. Go for a walk, have spend time for yourself. Like, work, if it's not that, if if you're not there, the company will end. Yesterday
Hmm.
we lost, like, Ratan Tata sir. Still Tata is booming, right? So not yesterday, day before yesterday, I think, yeah. So similarly, it's not that if you will, if you're not there, your company would be ending up. It's not that way, or your work would be ending. No. But if you're not there, your family, everything would be suffering. So make sure you work, give your best, learn every day, learn new skills, implement it, but save some time for yourself. Hit the gym, go for a walk, do track, chill out with friends, because once you're at early 30s, or like for like us 28 to 30, 32, you might not have that free time what you have currently. And enjoy your college days, like spend tremendous amount in college. These days won't come, and especially last year. So I'm not sure if you still implement those different days or not, but go ahead and implement those days. If it is not there, you start. Like we started it, and it was a hit. I mean, we started. There was one gang day kind of a thing. So we went to staff room. We had this manjira and like proper aarti setup, bhajan setup we have done. So implement those days. Enjoy your last year of college, because this is very important and very crucial. Okay, career, I understand, but last semester should be just for fun. पॉइंटर्स वगैरह भी ठीक है, हो गया, एमएस भी सेट, कंपनी भी सेट हो गई, सब खत्म. पॉइंटर्स नहीं पढ़ेंगे तो भी 8 से ऊपर तो आ ही जाएगा. मतलब एमसी वो लास्ट 2 साल के पेपर पढ़ने हैं, हो गया खत्म. सो 8 के ऊपर यू कैन इजीली स्कोर इट, बट डोंट स्पेंड जस्ट लर्निंग और इंटर्नशिप एंड ऑल दिस थिंग. ठीक है, हो जाएगा. Enjoy. This is because these days won't come. You will, I mean, you will, whenever we see videos, we call each other and we talk about those days. So it is refreshing, and you will never get these days again. Make new friends, chill. That's it. मिट्टी भाई जाओ, बंक मास बंक, टीचर्स को कन्विंस करो मास बंक के लिए. Yeah, we have convinced teacher. You can ask Kushali ma'am. You can like tell her my name and you can ask her. Like have it was A2 batch. You can ask her. Like we have bunked practical and we have convinced all the students also for mass bunk. बस हो गया, कंटा ला रहे घर पे जा रहे. Bunk, go to zoo, go to मिट्टी भाई, gate crash करो कोई. Have you ever done gate crash? Like there was an event वो भाईदास हॉल में. We have done gate crash. Just गए अंदर खा पी के वापस आ गए. Do it. What will happen? Your pointers won't get reduced, your visa won't be rejected, your placement won't be, and nothing will happen. You will just, it is a good thing, and you will remember it. So yeah, that is the best advice I can give to students who are currently in college.
Like, this is some of the amazing advice which you have given, and I hope the audience who are here, they must be getting inspired from whatever you have told, especially the mass bunk thing,
Yeah,
which
matlab
everyone likes.
yeah, it's a good thing. So our first mass bunk was, I think, in third year maybe, because there were one or two people who were, they need to sit, so we have to sit. Play games in college, play games during live lectures. So it's not that we have not scored pointer. Like we have also scored 9+ pointers. My average is 9.1. So it's not exam. It's you have 5-6 days holidays. पूरा portion खत्म हो जाता है 5-6 दिन में. Even if you tell us now कि अभी पढ़ के give the exam, and if you tell us कि यहाँ 2 लाख रुपए मिलेंगे, everyone will give you the exam. And I can give you guarantee, I will bring 100 of people if you give us 2 lakh rupees and we will give exam again. 9+ लेके आ जाएंगे फिर से.
Amazing. I must say the advice which you have given, also whatever you have spoken, the knowledge and everything, it's interesting and amazing. And so thank you, Jay, for coming to this in our podcast. And I hope that you get much more in your own career. And
Thank you.
yeah. So like, share, comment, and subscribe to our podcast. And also, if you have any doubts or you want to connect with us, you can directly comment down in the YouTube comment section, and as well as uh, connect with us on LinkedIn. So, yeah. Let's come to the end of this podcast.